What is up, guys? Jimmy here with another Lots of Games video, and thank you so much for clicking on this video today. Today I am pleased to have Joel Vallie, who is a filmmaker, and he's got a really inspirational story, a really powerful story. I thought that you guys would really enjoy learning about. But again, as mentioned, Joel, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me on the show, Jimmy. It's awesome. Thank you.
Now, for those who are watching this, a lot of people don't know you are a filmmaker. You've been making films for quite a while now. You're working on a project. They're going to start filming in 2019. I want to kind of go back and ask you what kind of, as with a lot of people who are watching this video, got into gaming at an early age. What got you into gaming? What were some of the consoles that, kind of got you started?
Well, I remember Space Invaders on the Atari was the one that I kind of got into it for the first time. And Atari had some great things that I loved. The Spider-Man game, Return of the Jedi, Empire Strikes Back. Some of those games that I liked them a lot. I don't feel like I was obsessed or anything like that, but because, those games that only took you so far, that, you couldn't really beat them. It was more like the high score type of thing. Color palettes would change and stuff like that. But it wasn't until a buddy of mine who was from Japan, a kid of mine, showed me the Famicom and Super Mario Brothers and some other games where my mind, it was just blown at that time. And I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And then when a lot of that stuff started to come out in the U.S., and Nintendo became huge, it was over. It took me on this long ride, this long journey of just loving video games. I later picked up a Sega Master System and then a Sega Genesis, and that's when I really fell in love with Sega. I kind of drew more towards those consoles that maybe weren't so popular, that all the kids in the schoolyard weren't talking about, like the TurboGrafx 16 as well. And it wasn't because I wanted to be different. It was just they had games that I felt like I wanted to play, like Phantasy Star, or on TurboGrafx 16 would be like Ys, or Legendary Axe. When I seen the ads for Legendary Axe, I knew I had to have a TurboGrafx 16. And a Monster Boy on the Master System, or Revenge of Shinobi, Mystic Defender over in Genesis. So although I kind of drew towards those systems more, but I definitely love Nintendo. I love Super Nintendo, and that love would go all the way up until basically the Dreamcast would be the last system I had bought before this summer, where I had about 4 overdoses, and I was constantly in the hospital, almost died. And I just had to make some life changes and put the video games away. And it would be 6, maybe longer years before I'd ever pick up a controller again, which seems crazy, but...
No, actually, this is what I really wanted to talk to you about this whole process of, all the games, all the systems you had, and what took you away from that, what you ended up doing with those games for that period of time. The hard times you were going through. Can you kind of explain what you did with those games and the systems?
Yeah, I mean, it just depends on what happens, like if I needed drugs at the time and I didn't have the money, then I would, go to a family member. I'd go to a friend. I'd say, hey, man, I got these Nintendo games, or I have these Genesis games. You want to buy them? They didn't know what I was doing with that money. I would just say, hey, man, I need some money. I got some bills to pay, stuff like that. And then that would be the result. I would just go and I would take that money and buy. I'd go to pawn shops, or I would just sell off stuff to dealers who love that kind of stuff. I remember selling my Evangelion collection, which this isn't video games, but it was my anime collection. Evangelion, Devilman, Wicked City, Fist of the North Star, all these awesome VHS that I had collected to a guy because that's what he wanted in exchange for drugs. So I also, a lot of times the drugs would make me go crazy. I know I wasn't in a good mental state back then. I would just lose it, and I'd be tripping on acid or something, just lose my mind, and start breaking everything in the house. And in the Road to Recovery series, I show pictures of my house just totally destroyed. And it was like in 3 seconds, I just lose my mind and just break everything. Grab the TV, throw it out, bust the window out, throw it out, it'd fall to the ground, shatter. And then when I would come to the next morning or whatever, I'd realize, wow, I have nothing, and I'd have to start all over. So there's some games, Jimmy, that I bought in like 9 or 10 times. You know what I mean?
So through these years, you struggled. You were into gaming, you loved it, but you became addicted to narcotics. That really had a control in your life. What kind of like switched things 180 for you? How like you were able to kind of like push that out of your life and become clean and sober?
Well, in all honesty, it was, I think a lot of it had to do with just my faith and, finding a different path with God and stuff. And just, honestly moving, I actually moved from one side of the country to the other side of the country, totally got rid of all the influences in my lives, whether it was family members, friends, everything. Everything just got rid of everything, started totally over, and it wasn't easy, and it was a long road, but now it's been 17 years sober, 17 years without a drink, 17 years without drugs, 17 years like even with and I'll talk more about the depression and the cutting up myself and the paranoia, which I did touch a little bit on in Road to Recovery episode 3 with my mom and being locked up in a mental home and stuff like that. And it was just a 100% change of environment, faith, and finding new friends and people to help me along. So many people have helped me in this journey, Jimmy. I can't even begin to sit here and start thanking everyone, and even still today with, because I feel like once an addict, always an addict. But you just gotta, what are you gonna be addicted to, And so now I'm like addicted to my family, and I put all my time and my love into my family or into my film or into my YouTube channel. And so, but it's always going to be there. You always have to be on guard. You always have to have friends that will be there, to encourage you to keep going. And you got to make sure you don't get the wrong people in your circle as well, I mean, I do have friends that, do drugs or that drink, don't get me wrong, but I'm never going to let them influence me. I'm always hoping that I'll be influencing them. And, you're never going to get too close to me if you live in a lifestyle like that. But, just because I understand the dangers of falling back in, so 17 years or so, that's such a big answer or big question, There's just so many of those things all put together, all wrapped in a big package.
Okay, so here we are years later, and you've got actually a really powerful series called The Road to Recovery, where a lot of the games you had really had an amazing impact on your life. And like you said, either these games were destroyed or you ended up selling these games because of drugs. But now you're on a mission to get some of those, most important games. You're on a mission to get them back. Tell me a little bit about this Road to Recovery series.
Yeah, I don't know. I was thinking, I'd just been doing YouTube for a while and was like, oh man, it's just kind of, because Media Glitch in itself is a beast all its own, starting from my bedroom to now on live TV here in Albuquerque. And I love doing that. I love that, but I wanted something more. I always want what I'm doing to have some sort of a purpose. We're just reviewing games, which is cool. Don't get me wrong, but I wanted to take it to the next level. And how can I help people? Who I just wanted to be an example. Like, hey, it's possible. You can get out of this lifestyle. You don't have to be trapped there. And I've met so many people, and I've had conversations for hours on the phone with people who are watching the series and to help them. And they tell me, hey man, 3 months sober now. Hey, and that's just so amazing that my story could inspire them to take those steps to go, okay, I don't have to be, because, getting back those games, that's one thing, because they all have a story to them and there's nostalgia, but the other one is just to help people as well. And I know I've realized that video games, a lot of people, and you might know this, Jimmy, I know you know this, we're growing up, video gaming was kind of frowned upon, or in collecting comics. Now everyone does it, but back then, it was kind of frowned down upon. But to me, if I don't even think I'd be sitting in this chair if it wasn't for video games, coming from a past, I was bullied a lot as a kid. Like, I'm talking elementary, middle school, just bullied insane amount. And the only thing that was there for me was video games. And so a lot of these, I didn't have a ton of friends. I had some friends, but I didn't have a ton. But I had these games. And so when I'm playing a video game, it's like looking at a photo album. It's all these memories that I have. And it seems crazy because it's with a machine, or it's with a piece of hardware. But to me, I can't explain the feeling I get when I pop in, Revenge of Shinobi, or when I hear that music to Phantasy Star or to Ease, and oh my gosh, the music, holy cow. And but it's just, to me, with that Road to Recovery series, I just wanted to do something different, something that meant something that is just not like one and done, we got the review out. No, I want it to be like, I want to look back and go, episode 2, look at that Mystic Defender episode, later in life, and go, wow, that was cool. I'm glad I talked about that game. I'm glad I shared those memories. And then to have my mom on the show, bring my mom on the show in episode 3, so that people can go, wow, because I started doing drugs when I was 8 years old, Jimmy. And so, like, just, people probably wonder, well, what kind of life did you live? What kind of parents did you have? And then to bring my mom on the show, and also to bring special guests, we had Billy from the Game Chasers on that one. I got Radical Reggie. I want him. He's going to be on the show. Johnny Millennium, Happy Counts Gamer's going to be on the show. Jimmy, I'm going to have you on the show. And I don't necessarily want people that have done drugs or anything. It's just more people who have an experience or a memory with that game, And so I got a lot of plans for this series, Jimmy, and I probably way went over your answer that you needed. So,
no, actually, all of that was really fantastic. And again, Joel, these experiences that you've kind of gone through, I'm sure a lot of viewers at home have experienced some of these things in one way or another, and it's really amazing what you've been able to, achieve with your life. And just first and foremost, wanted to thank you so much for coming on today. And for those who are watching, Joel, where can they find you, and also your Road to Recovery series?
Yeah, that's all on YouTube, Media Glitch on YouTube. And also, I mean, if you're in the New Mexico area, you can watch it on TV, live TV, but also, we have Facebook, we have Joel Vallie, at Joel Vallie on Twitter. That's kind of like, I feel like I use Twitter for a lot of things. So, like, I'm in production right now to go into my 3rd feature film. And so you'll start to see a little shift of, a little less gaming, more of like maybe what I'm doing, location, scout, stuff like that. It's a mixture of everything. I don't discriminate on my Twitter page on what I'm putting out. It's just, this is what I'm doing today. And I feel like crazy grateful to think that someone who was a drug addict, someone I didn't even learn to read well till I was like 21, to have all these things against me, and to be able to go, hey, it doesn't matter your past. Don't let your past determine your future. It doesn't matter what you did or what people say you are, because I had many people tell me that I was a loser, that I wasn't going to amount to anything. But now I have a beautiful home, I have a beautiful house, I have a beautiful job, and I'm doing amazing things, which shouldn't be. That's not the norm. But I'm here to tell people you can achieve whatever you want. You know. Your dreams are how big you can dream. That's your limitation there. If you can, as big as you can dream it, with God's help, with the right people, and just time, energy, you can get it done. And don't let anyone tell you different. So again, over answered your question. You can find me on YouTube and Twitter.
So guys, as mentioned, you can find Joel on Media Glitch and also his series Road to Recovery. And I'd like to thank Joel for taking the time to answer some questions and to share his story with you guys. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up button. Also make sure to subscribe to my channel for future videos. As always guys, thanks so much for watching. I'll catch you later.